You know, we throw the word leadership around all the time, but what does it really mean in the tech world? An industry that basically reinvents itself every few years. It's not just one thing. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the anatomy of a truly transformative leader by looking at one incredible career.
So this is the big question, right? How does someone stay transformative, not just for a little while, but across decades at the absolute top of the tech world? To figure that out, we're going to use the career of Janne Uusilehto as our blueprint. And here's the secret. It isn't one single skill. It's about mastering 5 distinct leadership personas. We're going to walk through the visionary builder, the industry collaborator, the people-centric leader, the hands-on expert, and the proactive innovator. And then we'll see how it all comes together to create something really powerful. And this timeline right here, it's why his career is such a perfect case study. I mean, we're talking about leadership at the very center of tech's biggest moments. Nokia during the absolute golden age of mobile, Microsoft during its huge cloud transformation, and Google at the peak of its power in AI and cloud.
Okay, let's dive into that first persona, the visionary builder. Now, this isn't about just managing a team that's already there. Nope. This is about seeing what isn't there and then having the drive to build it from absolute scratch.
Think about it. A visionary builder doesn't wait around for a job description. They spot a critical, strategic gap, something everyone else might be overlooking. And then they just go and build the whole solution. The teams, the processes, the entire department needed to fill it. Okay, here's a perfect example. Back at Nokia, when mobile security was this brand new, kind of wild frontier, he didn't just join a security team, he literally invented and built their entire corporate product security function, from the ground up. This one move changed how the whole company, and eventually the entire industry, thought about engineering. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Just listen to Nokia's former CTO, Henry Thierry. He was there, he saw it happen. He says flat out that Jan spotted that critical gap and just took it on himself to build the whole function.
So building something massive inside your own company, that's one thing. But a truly transformative leader, their impact spills right over the company walls. And that brings us to our second persona, the industry collaborator. This is the person who can unite even fierce competitors to solve problems that affect, well, everyone.
Yeah, this persona is all they're operating on a global stage. And to do that, you need this really rare mix of skills. You've got to have the deep tech chops so people actually listen to you, but you also need these incredible diplomatic skills to get all these rivals to even sit down together, let alone agree on something.
And just look at this. What's wild is the sheer breadth of his influence. I mean, we're not talking about joining 1 or 2 little committees here. He was a chairman, a board member, or a key advisor in pretty much all the big ones, shaping global standards and even advising governments in the US, the UK, the EU, and China on this stuff.
And believe me, you can't underestimate how tough this is. His peer, David Rogers, points out that getting different companies and nationalities to work together like this, it's just an extremely difficult task. But Jean, he just had this knack for getting it done, for building consensus, which made him super respected and, more importantly, effective.
All right, so you can't build entire departments or unite whole industries without nailing the most foundational skill of all. And that is being a people-centric leader, someone who's all about building up and empowering amazing people.
And when you look at what people who worked for him say, this really clear pattern just pops out. So first, you've got this mentee who says his guidance was instrumental in their own career growth.
Then you have this direct report from Google who talks about how crucial he was in helping them get started and figure out the complexities of working there. And to top it off, here's someone he managed years ago who still goes to him for advice on big career moves. I mean, when you put it all together, it just screams deep, long-term investment in his people. It's not a one-and-done thing.
Okay, so you might be thinking, a guy this focused on big picture strategy and people must be pretty detached from the actual nitty-gritty work, right? Well, that's where you'd be wrong. And that brings us to persona number 4, the hands-on expert. This is all about staying in the game, staying a practitioner.
And this is the key. Despite having these big senior titles like director or head of, this kind of leader is still a practitioner. They're the ones diving deep into the technical weeds, personally running reviews, and leading from the front lines, not just from some fancy conference room. So just how hands-on are we talking here? Well, this number, it pretty much says it all. Over his career, he's personally conducted more than 1,000 detailed privacy impact assessments. That is an insane amount of deep, focused, highly technical work for one person, especially a leader, to do. And we're not talking about just checking boxes here. A colleague from his time at Microsoft, Stuart Aston, backs this up. He says this work demanded relentless attention to detail, and that Jan brought that to the table in spades. So you've got the number, and you've got the proof of quality to go with it.
Okay, so you take all these other personas, the builder, the collaborator, the mentor, the expert, you mix them all together, and what do you get? You get our fifth and final persona, the proactive innovator. This is the leader who's never satisfied with just building and maintaining things. Nope. They're the ones actively challenging the status quo, always pushing to move the whole organization forward.
A killer example of this innovation is how he championed the whole shift left approach. So what does that mean? It means he completely flipped the script. He took security and privacy from being this thing you kind of check for at the very end, a reactive afterthought, and made it a proactive, essential part of the development process right from day one. And let's circle back to Nokia's former CTO one last time, because he puts it perfectly. Henry Thierry says John didn't just solve problems. He helped shape the future of secure mobile tech. And really, that's the absolute essence of an innovator, right? Building what's next. So, when you pull it all together, what does it all mean? Well, it's the fundamental difference between a static leader and a truly adaptive one. See, a static leader, they've got one playbook, and they use it for every single problem. But an adaptive, transformative leader, they have all these different personas in their toolkit, and they know exactly which one to pull out for any given challenge. They're not just managing today, they're busy building tomorrow.
So here's the big takeaway from all this. The real power isn't in just being good at one of these things. It's about being able to weave all 5 of them together, which really leaves us with a question that's a lot more personal. It's not about him anymore. It's about you. Looking at these 5 personas, which one do you need to work on next?